This is Ashley,
Um,
and this is our dog Rolo.
and he is a Jack Russell Cross who is almost 2 years old.
Yeah, birthday on December the 28th. He'll be two on just after Christmas.
Yeah. Um.
And also currently absolutely loving the snow.
Yes. Go on.
Next question or?
Yeah. No, next
Okay,
question.
cool.
Sorry.
So in terms of what Rolo was doing, so Rolo was aggressively barking at children, but not just barking at them. He would almost literally go out of his way towards them to run at them, to scare them away. Infrequently, he would also do this at adults as well, and was also inclined to do it towards some dogs as well. Prior to neutering, Rolo was pretty friendly. He would play with most dogs, was absolutely fine with children.
But very slowly after neutering, the problem was just becoming worse, and to the point where it was really difficult to take him out, and it was started to happen more frequently, and was becoming more and more severe to the point where I was worried that he was going to start biting children, because we already had a few telling off from parents of him running up to their children, which is understandable. So we thought we needed to get this dealt with as soon as possible, really. And
Originally after the neutering, so for what, about a month, he was an absolute nightmare. Then he kind of had a month where he seemed to be back to himself again, and then after that month, he just seems to have kind of reverted to, yep. If I don't like you, or even if I think you're slightly a bit of a
right,
threat, go away. Don't come near me. Don't come near my mum. Don't come near my dad. I've got a ball. It's my ball. Go away.
um,
Yeah, pretty much like
um,
that.
but what we didn't realize as well was it wasn't just people and children that was a problem as well. It started to become other dogs. He was becoming more aggressive to some dogs, not every dog. So there were some dogs he'll take to immediately and he'll become immediate best friends. Other dogs, it was you're my enemy and I hate you, go away, and he'll tell them off. So it was getting to the point where I was becoming a bit too scared to take him to the park by myself, unless I had Joe with me. So yeah, so then we looked into getting some help before it becomes a big problem.
In terms of what we wanted to do, I think we just wanted a clearer path on, finding out exactly why Rolo was doing what he was doing, and just basically sing off the same hymn sheet. As you know, sometimes we probably had different ideas of how we would walk Rolo. I think I was probably a lot more relaxed than Ashley. That was almost from the get go. Even when he was a
Yeah.
little bubba, I was the one that, no, Rolo, off you go, run away, do your thing. And Ashley was like, no, no, on the lead, and that kind of followed suit. So yeah, I think we wanted to kind of sing off the same hymn sheet and just find out, why he was doing what he was doing, but also for him to, to kind of behave a little bit better. I think with the recall, that's massively improved. He
Yeah.
still has his moments. I mean, if he sees something he really likes, he will be a bit touchy. He's a terrier after all. He
Usually his
does.
friends
He is a
though.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
usually
a bit
his friends.
friends or treats. He is a bit headstrong, but yeah, I think we just wanted him to kind of find out what the issue was, and
And make sure we're doing the best thing by him as
yeah,
well, and
that
make it
too.
feel that he was
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, just to make sure that he can have the best life as well.
and also I think thinking maybe how other dogs around him were impacting his behaviour as well. I think, as you know, Sylvie's what, probably last 6 months or so, and I
Become his
think
new friend.
yeah, and instantly that did change his behaviour within, to the point where someone within about a week or two pulled me up on it and said, like, yeah, I can see that Rolo's changing because he's now with Sylvie. I think that's slightly changed a little bit. I don't think he's as impacted anymore.
So much better
Yeah,
since the
yeah, so
training.
much,
Since the
definitely,
training,
yeah,
it's improved so much. We don't really
definitely.
have half the issues
Um,
anymore.
and
There's still a big work in
yeah,
progress,
yeah.
but
And I
yeah,
think just maybe for us to kind of know how to diffuse a situation in terms of, I think one of the good things you pointed out was, um, if we're going towards dog and Rola's kind of showing those signs, we walk away, or we kind of say, you've had your playtime, on you go, on the lead, and just kind of giving those phases of, like,
or,
have a kind of time out Rolo for 5 minutes and
or
you kind of walk away.
even
And
working on people coming into the house as well. Throwing treats down on the ground, having him on the leads, let him become comfortable rather than having what he's uncomfortable with approaching him. That's been a big help in terms of having strangers or not people who aren't regularly here in the house. That's been a big help as well. So that's been handy, and also taking him out to restaurants and pubs.
Yeah.
That's been really good as well. That's been really good. So we've successfully had a few pub trips. Um, Still a work in progress. But he's so much better than he was before. Otherwise, he'd always be trying to sit on my lap
Yeah.
and drink
Yeah.
my drink. Uh, but yeah, it's the training's been massive, big
Massively
help.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah,
In terms of the impact it had on us, I think you, like you said, you were quite embarrassed. I think you were more worried that, like you said, if Rolo goes up and does something, it's obviously
that I'm to
he,
blame.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's a dog at the end of the day. As much as you take the blame, he doesn't understand what he's doing wrong, or
yeah,
what he's, and you kind of get a bit upset about it and stuff, and and I think it kind of impacts you in terms of where you took him, and how often we took him there, because I think obviously we went like quite a lot, and then there was some people who may be a little bit funny, and you didn't really want to integrate with their dogs in case they reacted that way,
um,
and same with Vauxhall Park. So
but
it kind of,
since the
yeah,
training,
yeah,
actually, it's before one of our training sessions. That was the first time I'd taken Rolo to the park and spent a lot of time with him on my own. Having a long line lead was a blessing. I was a bit nervous when some of the dogs came up to Rolo because I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but it was fine. It wasn't a problem. They had a sniff and then trotted on, and that was it. But that was the first time I've taken him to the park by myself in a
mm.
very long time. So that was good. It was a good thing to do.
In terms of the barking and stuff, I think
And
he's not.
people,
No, yeah,
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 and
more so
people.
at people rather than, he's not a massive bark. Apart from obviously you saw yourselves at the weekend. When the dog's that close, he maybe will bark, but he doesn't generally
Only
bark
because he's
very
with
often.
only because of threat to other dogs. But then
Yeah,
that's currently what something we're working on at the moment, and he's been doing really well in the training with that as well. He's been quite successful in the training so far. It's still a work in progress. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
been amazing to
yeah,
see.
definitely work in progress. I think.
Amazing to see, and at least we know now what to do as well when another dog comes up to Rolo, or if Rolo wants to go to a dog.
Yeah,
We now know the signs, and we
the
now
treats
know what
ready
to
as
do.
well.
So we
Yeah.
now know how to handle the situation. So the training's been not even just good for Rolo, but it's been good for us too. Um, yeah,
Um. Yeah, I think you're right. And in terms of, I mean, if nothing was to change, I think, like you said, I think this is where, as a couple, we're very different. I'm a very calm person. Ash is not a very calm person. So, as much as, I mean, I'm not that I'll admit, Ash had to kind of convince me to go through with this in essence anyway, didn't you? You were
he
kind of like,
didn't have a
I was
choice.
always like, very low.
Yeah,
Is he that bad a dog? You think his little teething problems, but then I think we gradually saw it probably was escalating a little bit, and it needed to be nipped in the bud. Um, so I think, yeah, more just scared that I'm not scared. I mean, I'm still not scared he's going to bite anyone or nip anyone. I don't think that's in his nature. I mean, I could be wrong, but in terms of how he is, the way he darts at people, if you don't like that, it is going to frighten you, especially if you're a little kid. I mean, even some adults, and especially because of their backgrounds, they'll immediately back away and kind of be like, no. And it kind of makes us think, you know what, we need to nip that problem in the bud on the lead,
yes.
and then and then take you away from that situation, and
Um,
then take him somewhere where you can kind of, roam a little bit.
the thing that was more reassuring about the training as well, which I've already explained before, was when I called you, Joe, was when I was explaining the issue, you literally finished my sentence, so you already knew what the problem was and how to go. What training was needed to try and fix the problem. So that made me feel really confident in your knowledge and the training as well. So after that conversation, I immediately said, "Yes, this is the person I don't want to talk to anyone else. This is it." So I was really happy, and I'm really feel happy and very lucky to have found you. So
Yeah, like I said, I mean, obviously in regards to that, where I was in the office at the time, obviously, I know, obviously, I always have a say in things, but Ash definitely kind of went out of a way to make sure we were dealing with the right person here, because you did have a couple of calls from people that we didn't feel were right and were slightly pushy, and we didn't really feel it even had Rolo's best interest at heart for what they were saying. It seemed all a bit about the money and stuff, and
yeah.
yeah. So, um, I mean, in terms of the improvements, I think he seems a lot calmer.
Oh,
Generally, as he seemed a lot
actually,
calmer.
so many people have actually commented to say that Rolo seems calmer, that he has calmed
Yeah,
down. That's been amazing. Do you remember
yeah,
actually Dad said it
yeah,
the other
yeah,
weekend. He immediately said
yeah.
he seems so much more chill, which is really nice. Because he used to run riot.
Yeah. In terms of calm, I mean, more relaxed in terms of he chills a lot more, but also in terms of when he for example, if we were to take him to Ash's parents, like Ellie would like literally really wind him up to the point where Rolo would be like get out of my face. And he seems even calmer with that now. He's a lot more
Yeah,
tolerable. And if she kind of, he would just be kind of just lay there and just like not really kind of growl or be aggressive
no,
back to her. And in terms of the walking,
he
uh,
doesn't
um,
really pull
um,
and lead
he's a
anymore.
million times better with walking. A million, he's so much
He
better,
doesn't really
so
pull.
much better. He's calm at roads, and he sits and his recall, his
Rico's
response to
amazing.
commands is really good. He's still a little bit of a pain in terms of if we're showing affection to each other. He's got better, but it now revolves to instead of the humping, is like, oh,
He's now
can I give you a kiss,
licks.
guys, instead? So yeah, he's yeah, he's improved a lot. He has
Hell
improved a
of a
lot.
lot.
I mean, obviously, you can tell he loves you. The fact you came on instantly on the call, and he's like, "Oh, who's that?" And wanted to
And
get himself involved.
the
Yes,
first meeting was all
yeah,
growls and teeth.
yeah. So he's
Now it's not.
yeah, definitely. He's
It's all
you
love
know,
now. Yeah.
yeah, definitely, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, in terms of yeah, definitely recalls improved. I mean,
Everything's
everything
improved.
has improved really. I think
Everything. He's so much more chilled out, and I think
yeah,
we've learned a lot as well.
yeah, we have. Like I said, I think
Yeah.
the main thing we've learned really is just to to not individualize how we treat Rolo, just to work off the
But I like
same pattern,
also learning
really.
why he's reacting the way he's reacting, and now I know the
Yeah,
reasons why, and that makes me feel a bit better as well because then I know it's not me who's the problem. I'm not causing
yeah,
this problem. It's this is what he's scared
yeah,
of, and this is the reason why, and this is how we can try and go about solving it. So
yeah. Because I mean, obviously we knew the jealousy. Because I mean, he's had the jealousy factor from a little one in terms of people running, especially you, as you saw at the weekend again. But in terms of the anxiety, we didn't know if it was more as in a kind of just a dominance factor rather than the anxiety, which I think now we know that it's the anxiety rather than him being dominant. We can kind of be like, okay, well, we can diffuse that situation. Whereas if he was dominant, he's always going to try and be dominant. Whereas you can stop the anxiety by taking him away from the situation.
yeah.
So
But I also think it's important that other people look into castration as well because we were never told how what kind of effect it would have. Rolla was always a chilled, calm dog
yeah,
before then, and having him neutered just made him go the completely other way. And nobody even said this could happen. And I've only met probably one other person who's
yeah,
had the
we
same
did.
issue
No,
since.
no, we actually did. Do you
Um,
remember the guy we bumped into?
every That's the guy I'm talking about.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, yeah,
yeah. The
yeah,
only
yeah.
one guy who's said, yeah, this will be a problem, but nobody else mentioned it. You're always told of the positives, and you never hear anything else. So part of me regrets having it done, but it is what it is. We can't change it. So now we just have to go with the training and do the best we can for Rolo.
And in terms of again, I think one of the things we liked, I think we liked that you and Grant weren't very demanding. You kind of gave us tasks, but it was like as in, do this at this pace. It's not like, oh, we want this done by next week or we want this done by. It was like, okay, it's quite relaxed, and I think I quite like that. I'm a relaxed person anyway. So if you say to me, I've got a week to do something, I'm like, oh, well, I'll probably do it the last day. But if you say, we, the kind of time we had, I think it allowed us to kind of
Yeah.
actually make progress with
But
Rolo between the appointments. Really,
also, I appreciate that you've taken a lot of time to see us a lot more in and outside of the appointments as well. Also appreciate that you've broken up the bigger appointments into smaller appointments because Rolo gets overwhelmed very easily. So that's been very much appreciated, and yeah, it's just made a world of good. And I do like the outside appointments as well because you've got to see some of the bad behaviours firsthand as well because he's always a good boy on his actual appointments. So that's been
unbelievably,
lovely to see as
yeah.
well. So I'm glad that you've got to see some of the negatives of Rolo as well. So it can be worked on in the future. So we can hopefully have a really good dog.
Yeah. Again, I think it was also good to kind of venture out of our not I wouldn't say out of our comfort zone, but go somewhere else. I think obviously he's quite. We have taken him to other parks and stuff, but for him to actually visit a different park as well a couple of times, and
Yes.
I think it's good for him to kind of see and feel other dogs, other grass, other. I mean, for example, when I went with Graham, he's playing with our dogs and it was really good. So I think he shows it can be done. It's just obviously not every time. We just want it to become, an every
More
time thing.
frequent.
You go Rolo. We don't worry about you having a run around and a play around, and we can just leave you to it. And You come back to us when you're tired, and off you go. We take you home, and that's how we want it to be, really.
Um, oh, sorry. Sorry, just the messages. Sorry. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I
Um,
think in summary, that's how we feel about the training. We're very happy. Would happily recommend, as we already have as well. So yeah, we're very thoroughly happy with the improvements that have been made, and yeah, we look forward to having happy, playful, not scared of children, not barking at children, and Rolo.
been
Ta-da!
done.